Hi, Zoom Temple here. I'm gonna flip it right away. I don't have my signature hat, but what I do have is a few minutes to do a quick little video. It is a couple days until the new year, which you know, when you've seen a few of them, kind of doesn't matter. But it's also my son's birthday on the 28th, and you know, when you get everyone's got holiday exhaustion. Not everyone, but a lot of people have holiday exhaustion, and I'm guilty of that. So is my wife, my estranged wife. Real quick, I have a roommate guy. He's not a roommate. I live in like a bungalow behind this hibachi chef's house, and it's perfect for me. It's a little efficiency. And I have there's another one there, and there's a gay Cuban guy who lives across the way. Who I like him a lot, but he gets really mad at me when I call my wife, who's still my wife. He's like, "How can you call her your wife, bro? You know, how can you call her your wife? You don't live with her, man." I don't know. He gets like angry. He's like angry about it. So that's where the whole thing about saying my estranged wife comes from. I'm literally thinking about this guy, and you know what? Fuck it. She's my wife still. It is what it is. And honestly, we don't even like talk about divorce. Really, we also know we're not gonna get back together, right? Like we can't live together. But this is not what this video is about. I just thought it was kind of funny. Like it really bothers him. So that's where I come up with the estranged wife, and then I told her that story, and she's strange. She's estranged. I'm the strange husband and separated husband, and she's the estranged wife. But that's kind of funny. I just to leave things hanging. If anyone gives a shit, I don't think anyone does, but we actually get along very well. Our concern is, you know, she's free to move on with her life. I don't. And I am too. I think, you know, our primary concern is about our son that we have together, and that's really where we're at. I love her, and I know there's love for me there too, and it is what it is, man. It's hard to explain to people. My parents think I'm nuts, but whatever. Everyone thinks I'm nuts, which actually is a good segue into this. Nuts. I recently did a unboxing video for Paranoid American, and I emailed the guy back and forth a couple times. Super nice guy. You know, I just basically said, well, first of all, I bought something before, and then I had the idea afterwards. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll record this as an unboxing, like I see people doing these unboxings. I sound so old when I talk about that. These kids, I see these kids doing unboxing videos, so I figured I'd try my hand at it. You know, but so the idea was, if it sucks, it's probably gonna suck. You know, and I don't want to embarrass myself too badly, although I kind of don't care. This channel is totally for me. You know, it is what it is. I'm not even sure why I put stuff on YouTube. I kind of like my privacy. I don't know if anything did become of it, I probably would not be very happy with things, and it's a hassle. I can't even keep up on, you know, one comment, which is shout out to Skull Asylum. The guy, you're a nice guy. He's like my only fan, and I'm his fan too. He posts great videos on his channel. I've watched a couple like super cool older movies that he does. But anyway, whatever reason, he likes me, and he seems to check out my videos once in a while. So, dude, if you're there, shout out. You're pretty awesome. Definitely my favorite person on the internet. Oh, this is kind of cool. Check this out. See this burn here? Now, I'm not for sure. You see this? Let me go down a little lower. So, there's something called fulgurite in Florida. It's, well, everywhere. Fulgurite is basically fossilized lightning, right? And if you look, this is all charred up and burnt. I guarantee this right here was a lightning strike. I can almost guarantee it. So in theory, and it's interesting what happens, like this is a rock. This is also a good segue into what I want to talk about today. This is a rock, and that feels metallic. Look at that. Look what it does. This is what, electricity does to rocks. Plasma. Electricity is basically plasma, right? Let's see if I can find some more cool shit in here. But, so let me get to the point here. So, I guess I'm part of what you call truther community too. This channel is about rocks, but it's also about me to have a venting place to talk about weird shit that I'm into. And when I say weird shit, it's not really that weird. It's kind of the truth. So there's something called the truther community, and it's there's a lot of things involved in that. See, look at this. Look what the rock. It actually shattered a rock. Look at that. So that rock was popped open, and its outsides were all changed and charred. This is very cool. In the theory, not theory, but I'll dig around here a little bit. But some fulgurites are like 60 feet long. So I could be able, in theory, to find some fused thing that went down in the earth. It's so cool. It's split rocks. It's so cool. Anyway, the truther community. So the past couple years, first of all, let me back up. My entire life, even as a little kid, I always felt like this place is kind of bullshit. It was a source of pain for me in my life. It was a source of, if you're an addict or an alcoholic, you drink because you drink, right? You can't spend too much time. There are steps involved that can help you if you get into recovery to figure shit out. A lot of people in recovery have abuse in their life, abuse issues. I didn't have any of that shit. I had a great childhood growing up. I wasn't abused. Thank God, luckily. Maybe, I don't know. So I've often wondered, well, why the hell did I, cope? Or what was the pain I felt, the suffering that I felt that I needed to, I'm going to move on from this, but this is definitely a lightning strike site. I don't know if anyone finds that cool. It's like metal on top of the rock. Anyway, we'll get to that, because that's a big part of what I want to talk about real quick. What was I saying? So my whole life, I felt like something wasn't right? Something was not right. And I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. But I grew up in a lot of woods. I was out in the woods a lot. I had friends, but I had tons of woods around me. And this is in New York, upstate New York. And I spent a lot of time in the woods. I actually got lost in the woods as a 3-year-old boy. That's a whole nother story. But, the whole fire department, they found me. Obviously, they found me. Here I am. But there was like newspaper articles about his stuff. And my mother was beside herself. Like that kid that fell in the well. A helicopter actually spotted me. Anyway, see how easy it is to digress? It's kind of annoying. So, focus. I always felt like something was not quite right in the world. And I feel like I'm not mumbling very much right now, too. I'm kind of happy with that. And what is that? So what is it? What is not quite right? And so now when I got into when I got into recovery, and I started doing some step work and looking at myself and things like that, it's what you do. You look at yourself. You do it other ways, too, in life. You don't have to obviously go through steps. You can do Carl Jung talks about it, just embracing the shadow, which is frightening to me, but I don't want to embrace any shadow. My shadow scares the shit out of me. Right? So, long of the short of it, and I'm sure I'll talk about this kind of thing again, because I love talking about this kind of stuff. And if you're strong, God bless you, and know that you can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live, right? That's available to everyone. So, what was I saying? I always felt like something was not quite right? So that, to me, finally realized, and this is a couple of times, that, I've been in recovery more than I think I've used 20 plus years. But we're talking a couple of relapses in between and things like that, and which is painful. painful shit, you know, I've gone through. And this last time that I came back, I am a few years again. The last time I almost didn't make it back. I didn't even know if I wanted to make it back. By back, I mean back to like the rooms and getting into, you know, stopping using. I literally was very close to ending my life. And it's kind of a spiritual thing, but I felt like demonic presence was daring me to, asking me to, begging me to, and which leads to now also some kind of spiritual journey I'm on and all that. Okay. I'm really trying to not get too disjointed here. There's a little area up here I want to try to go to. So, what are you talking about, Wilson? Why are you telling me all this stuff? So, basically, why did I use a homeless thing? We're going to walk through a little camp. I never seen anybody here, though. I used because I felt like, let me flip it. I felt like this place is mostly fake and full of bullshit. And I just looked around and everything seemed so contrived and shitty and fake. And no one was talking about it. Everyone was just kind of, this is how it is here. This is how it is, right? And it is, in many ways, it is really fucked up. Like, I'll give you something that's fucked up that no one ever talks about. Two things, actually. I think you have to be obsessed about death, but no one ever talks about death. Nobody talks about it. It's a pretty important part of this experience here. It's the final, you know, no one talks about it. It's something you should bring up every day. At least once have a small conversation about it with someone, right? Anyway, that's one. Another one is just like the idea that you're supposed to go get a job. I'm a chef, right? I've been a chef for 30 years. That's all I've done. But the idea that you're supposed to go figure out what you want to do, like what do you want to be, and you land on something, you pick something, and then that's what you do. That's what you are, and it's to the point that it's your identity. It becomes your identity. So all of this is connected to what I really want to talk about. I'm gonna flip it again. Okay. There's a channel, Walter Bosley. So I'm gonna list some channels I like too as well. But he just did a live stream on Tartaria. He said it was called Let's Talk Tartaria. And I see shit like that, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is gonna be a bash fest, right? As a trooper community is split in many ways. There's people who believe lots and lots and lots of stuff, and there's people that feel like they're like rational truthers, right? Especially when it comes to Tartaria. So if you don't know what it is, Tartaria was on old maps, but basically it's the idea that at some point, fairly recently, a lot of people think, like mid 1800s or maybe 1700s, whatever. We don't know. It's hard timelines, and that I'm gonna get to that too. There basically at some point in our history, there was, and this is important. As far as I'm concerned, this is the most important topic you could talk about. So at some point in our history, us human beings were, well, it might not even be us. Let me just say, at some point in the history of this place, there was a global civilization that spanned everywhere, right? This is why I want to come in here. There's some cool shit in here. Look at this. It's a piece of crystal right in there. You gotta get it out though. But it's pretty cool. Covered the entire globe, whatever, fuck. Covered the entire realm. And basically the characteristics of it were amazing architecture. There was peace. It was thousands of years, so peace everywhere. High technology. A guy named Martin Liedtke who coined the term antiquitech. So it's all over, man. It's all over the place. Look up, just put in Tartaria and find a video Andreas Zerdes did a really good one-on-one video, but it actually is hard to find that good primer video, introduction video, because it's a very, it's a deep subject, man. It really is. Anyway, so it's the idea that there was a global, I keep saying global, there was a realm-wide civilization with a, fairly technologically advanced, very technologically advanced actually, but just not in the way we think of technology today necessarily, right? Different forms of it, but I mean, all in all, their tech would have blown ours away. I mean, all right, we'll get to that too. But it enjoyed thousands of years of peace, right? Where its citizens were free. I think there were many races involved. Like, it got along like that. There was really no strife because, war was kind of taken out of the equation. And so there was no war. You could pursue whatever the hell you wanted to pursue. So it brings us back to what I was just talking about with the job. So, like, you could do whatever. You had time to do whatever. Just think, if energy is present and gathered from the ether, which is a thing, by the way. The ether is a thing. If this is all totally new, I don't feel like anybody watching this video is going to be totally new to. So I want to kind of make a quick look it up. It's super interesting, and I totally believe it. Okay, there's some truth to it, right? Here's the problem. The problem is that it's like the Mandela effect also, which I'd like to do a video about soon too. Which I also think is connected to what we're talking about right now in a weird way. So, basically, I think it's poorly named. Mandela effect is poorly named. I think quantum effect is better. But I think Tartaria is not a great name. And that throws people off because Tartars were people. Tartaria was a region. I think you just disregard the name of what it was. I mean, honestly, it was likely more like Atlantis or Mu or something like that. That's more like probably what was actually the truth rather than Tartaria. But I don't know I'm not sure where the Tartaria thing came from, but I think that really messes people up, right? Because they look at our history, quote unquote history, and they say, well, there was, you can read about the Tartars, right? Only there's some fuckery with that, with the Russian government and when, the Bolsheviks and when communism became a thing there, they erased a lot of stuff. So basically what happened here was, and I do believe this was a human civilization, right? What happened here was they were eradicated. Okay? Something happened, whether a cycle, like a cataclysm or something like that, or possibly a lot of people think as well, possibly it was an intentional destruction. There certainly was intentional destruction of the evidence of that, what that is, right? And now, so, man, this is such a big subject that I could go on and on and on and on. This fucking Walter Bosley guy, sorry, I'm not going to curse. It's not a good thing. This Walter Bosley guy. Oh, I'll do a New Year's resolution thing too. Cursing made me think about it. It's not one of them, but definitely cursing's a thing. Here you go. I think these are called Welk? No. Yeah, maybe. Walter Bosley did that thing, and so I'm watching a little bit, and he's basically doing what a lot of them do when they're trying to be rational truthers. And it really is split. This community is really split. Here's the person that I want to be, the person I admire, and the person that I think we all should be or strive to be. Rather than say, especially when you're talking about these subjects, rather than say, oh no, that's not something that happened. Well, when you start digging, when you really start digging, you realize that there's 100% things are not adding up, right? 100%. So something happened, right? So right there off the bat, we don't actually know, right? We don't actually have answers. We're trying to figure that out. And the more you look into it, the absolutely more you realize that we don't know who we are, what we are, how long we've been here. We don't know absolutely nothing. I am fully convinced now at this point, fully 100% convinced that our entire historical narrative is just that. It's a contrived narrative. And that sounds like I don't talk to certain people out there. Well, here I am putting it on YouTube for the world to see. You can't talk to people about that. Like my father is not someone that would sit down with me and have a conversation. He would, probably out of respect, but he'd be concerned about me after we ended the conversation and went about our day. This is not a quote unquote, I hate these kind of words, like terms like normies and things like that, but that's definitely a thing. There are people that, watch sports and they eat their food and they go to work and they say, how about the weather and all that stuff. There's a lot of people like that. Although I will say, for sure, like again, I've been in conspiracies forever, right? My metric usually is asking people about 911, right? And if they think that the official what happened that day is how it happened, went down, okay, then they are definitely not on any path that I'm going to talk about this kind of stuff with, right? There's just no way. I knew the day that happened that something was very, very, very wrong with that whole thing. And it's to the point where, I'm not even going to get into it right now, but it's to the point where I question if anyone died that day, if there were planes that day. Like, it's a whole thing. So anyway, what it definitely was a ritual, okay? So we'll get to that. How do I not get turn this into an hour-long video? It's already 22 minutes, shit. Basically, it really bothered me. So here's why, Paranoid American, here's why I like guys like Thomas. Thomas is a perfect example. He talks about anything, all this stuff. He'll seek people out and talk about it. The occult, Tartaria type stuff. Actually, I haven't seen him talk much about Tartaria, but I know he would, right? So, yeah, it really is about humility, right? I'm going to get out of here. Go back to the tracks. It really is about humility. And humility is, a good definition of humility is, honestly being able to look at, the good and bad about you, just an honest assessment of yourself, and that, which translates into how you, treat yourself and others and people, or, that to me, that's how I look at humility. And so humble, to me, a good one characteristic of that is acting like you don't really know much and hearing people out and kind of looking into stuff and saying, oh, well, at least hear it, don't close your mind to it. So when Bosley's closing his mind to it, I made a couple comments on his live stream. The lady called me a troll and they booted me. It was ridiculous. I'm trolling because I'm asking questions. Well, I did say he's talking out his ass, and he obviously hasn't researched it, which is absolutely clear to me. There's either two things going on with Walter Bosley. Either he hasn't looked into it enough, right? Which he got really upset about that. So if that's true, then he has looked into it enough, and he finds it to be our historical narrative. He finds it to be on the up and up. Then he was approached by someone to talk about it in a negative way. That is probably more likely. He's talking about, the deep state. He's got connections with all that stuff. That's part of his shtick, So he probably is. He probably was. It's controlled opposition kind of thing. So, I'm going to wrap this up because this is getting way too long. I have to wrap up when it wraps up because this is very important in my life. all our lives, but most of us just don't know it. Yeah, man. So that really, really bothered me. It really bothered me. The facts are, the more I look into stuff, the more I realize just how absolutely lost we really are. And that ties into what I felt my whole life. It ties into what I felt my whole life, which was that something is seriously wrong. Something is not what it seems, right? That kind of stuff. And I mean, where I'm at now is that I do believe for sure there was some kind of realm-wide civilization that was wiped out, or either wiped out or they left or whatever, and they're just not here anymore. And the evidence of that is our architecture. Look up mud flood, look up World's Fairs, things like that. And basically, when Bosley said, well, we have like these buildings. We have history of these buildings and how they were built. No, dude. No. You see, that's what I'm talking about. He obviously has not looked into that at all. Because that history he's talking about is got so full of holes. It's unbelievable. A couple of other good channels, real quick, My Lunch Break, Old World Exploration, Michelle Gibson. Maybe I'll put a list of stuff that this pertains to if you're interested. But it's all got the same bullshit storyline. There's a contest that somebody won, and that's how they became that they were able to do their design for this building. And I'm talking like state capitol buildings, all the architecture from the mid 1800s. So all of these massive, beautiful, intricate buildings, and insanely intricate and beautiful, all built within a year, right? Or 2 years, something like that. All only last 20 years, right? And then something happens. There were major fires in every single city in the United States. Major fires. Another good one is this guy, the archivist, and he goes through old newspaper clippings of what he finds. And this world is not at all what we're told. Our official narrative is so ridiculously silly. It's just silly. It's just silly at this point. So, I don't know. I feel like that's a fairly good primer. I'm trying to wrap it up. Obviously, I'm going to talk about it again because I do believe this is the most important thing anyone could ever look into right now. By far, by a mile. So I'll just lay out what I feel. Now I feel where I'm at with this. And basically, it's this. We are in a place that experiences it's like a cataclysm cycle, right? And there's a regular wiping of everything. Picture the flood, the Great Flood, whatever. The Noah's Flood, but there's stories and all different cultures and stuff like that everywhere with things like that. And I mean, look at if you look into Hinduism, which is super interesting and the oldest religion ever, but their whole concept of the yugas, the different ages. I think if you change the timelines, they're like millions of years their ages last and stuff, which is nuts to think about. But for me, I'm not shitting on any religion, believe me. But if you kind of condense the timelines a little bit, I think that's exactly what's happening here. And how do you go from one age to another? How do you go from a golden age to the Kali Yuga, which is basically what we're in now? It sure feels like. Is it violent? Is it sudden? Is it clear when it happens? Is it boom? Oh, there's a new age. We don't know. So where we're at now is, I believe that this place is some kind of cataclysmic cycle. It's quite possible that we've done this before, meaning been here before. It's possible we go around and around and around, right? Wheel of samsara. And, you know, that's another thing. Look into reincarnation trap. I'm not sure about that. I looked into that for a while. I'm kind of away from that. I mean, the most number one, you know what, I'll do a list of channels. But I think the closest thing, I've said this before, is to me, what I believe is Matt McKinley's quantum consciousness. And that is a beautiful thing. It also, number one, I've said this before, but it got me to not obsess about what he calls the bog, which is this endless generation of conspiracies. Like, you look at, pick a conspiracy, pick anyone, and you start researching it, and more come. It's the rabbit hole, right? And more information comes, and it gets deeper and more interesting and unbelievable. And oh my God, you see it? It's fake. It's all fake. It's all fake for us. That's where I'm at. So I don't feel the need to say if it's a simulation, a construct, whatever. Another good one is Archaics, Jason Bashir's. I know that there's a lot of issues with him because he was in prison for 30 years, but quite frankly, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I have no problem with him. I don't think he is gonna hurt anybody. I mean, you know, people do things when they're younger. I think that's what happened. He got caught up with something stupid when he was young, and he fully admits if you look into it, he kidnapped a girl, and the guy he was with was real bad, and I think he turned himself in and saved the girl in a way, you know. But who the heck knows? I don't think he's someone who would hurt anybody, and he did a lot of time for what he did, so probably too much. But I think I have no problem with him. I think his information is super compelling, and basically, he read for 30 years in prison. He read all these older books for 30 years in prison. And books that were printed and dated in the 1800s are very different from the information that's available to us now, right? So his thing is a 138 year cycle, which, you know, I don't know. I'm definitely not ruling that out at all. I mean, 2040 would be the next one in his model, and he's got an open invitation for anyone to come at him with stuff, like debunk him or whatever, and prove him wrong. And that hasn't happened yet, which is pretty darn interesting. Like, you'd think someone would come through and knock him down, but that certainly has not happened. And he's big channel, so why wouldn't that happen? Anyway, there's so much bullshit. So we're surrounded by so much bullshit, nonstop, that it's almost mind-numbing. So I used to obsess about things like that and seeking the truth and all that. I don't look at it like that anymore. I'm happy with not knowing a lot of things. I think that Matt McKinley is right, that we're here for some kind of spiritual reason, and you know, that can be a little different for everybody, but basically, in a nutshell, I think we are here. The goal of being here is to not be corrupted, not allow yourself to be corrupted, right? I've been close a few times in my life, and I've done some things, you know, that I'm not proud of, but today, right now, I'm proud of the person I am. I'm proud of the person I'm proud of the things I do today. And I think that's what is the key to this place. This video is getting so long, and my estranged wife is calling, so I'm going to go. God bless you. Take care, and talk to you soon. I hope 2024 is going to be great for everyone. Bye. God bless.